This came for me right from the beginning. NVC has its own energy. It's not that we need to spread it, because it has its own energy. Because just from my own experience, when I invited Marshall, everything was ready. Everything just moved so smoothly, you see. Marshall was just flowing easily. He didn't take NVC anywhere. He just went where NVC took him, So it's a different way of looking at it, because I remember when that way also for me, I didn't go to NVC. NVC took me, because I went to America. I sort of ran away from the fighting in the war, because the night before the army was throwing bombs and all that, and I was under the bed, you see. And the next day morning they came and said, we need this house, you have to vacate it. So I had to leave the place. And then I went to America, and I didn't want to come back, because I was trying to delay as much as possible, because the war was going on. But meanwhile, I was also looking for what to take back to Sri Lanka. At that time, I didn't know, I was studying Paulo Freire about, Freire is the one who brought in the whole concept of dialogue, which is also connection, and so I was thinking of, maybe I could, I did my degree on him. But while I was looking for, and suddenly a friend of mine comes, an old friend of mine, she comes and tells me, Father, I'm a secretary to Marshall Rosenberg, and he is doing communication. Maybe since you are also studying communication, why don't you meet him? So I said yes. So I went for the first workshop that he held there in close to our place in Ohio, and immediately I knew exactly what to take back. It's so obvious, it's so beautiful, and from then on, of course, I was delaying my thesis for as long as possible. But then, as soon as I knew what I have to take back, I finished the whole thing in no time and submitted my thesis, and then I went, followed some of his workshops, and then I was in an IIT in Denmark, which was, of course, the privilege is that Marshall is always there. And this giraffe around the world, Marshall actually talks about the projects all around the world, what he does actually. Mostly he travels all over. And then I had asked him, could you come to Sri Lanka? So he said, Chris, as soon as we need some money, as soon as we get the money, we will come. So at the giraffe around the world, he was just talking about, Chris has asked me to come to Sri Lanka. As soon as I find the money, I will go. And one of the participants right there wrote a check for $8,000. So then, of course, it's solved. So right after the IIT, he was willing to come to Sri Lanka. And so I went to Sri Lanka. I came back to Sri Lanka and got everything prepared, and he was supposed to come on a certain day. And then on that day there was a bomb blast in the most famous Buddhist temple, where Buddha's tooth is kept. So that is the most, so the whole, everything stopped, you see. all the planes and everything. So I had to tell Marshall cancel the thing. And I was caught in Colombo. I could not get back to my place. And as I was staying there, really disappointed with all this, and I had to call Marshall and cancel it. And then suddenly someone calls and, "Are you Chris Rajendram?" I said, "Yes." And this is a Swiss leaders who are doing a workshop in this place in Colombo or Kandy, I think it was. And do you know anything about NVC? I said, "I know something about NVC, and could you please come and share one session with us?" So I went and shared what I knew, and they asked me to stay for 3 days. They had their workshop for 3 days. So I stayed for 3 days and shared NVC with them. So it's all like this. It's sort of NVC moving itself, It moves you and moves everyone.